Hello and welcome back to the SWAN pricing show. My name is Filip Vucic. I'm a pricing mentor.
And I'm Philip Zolota, business mentor.
Today we're talking about, first let me tell you about the problem of guilt, and then we'll talk more about the solutions to the solutions of that problem. So when I say guilt, it's mostly the guilt about underpricing, about lowering your price at the last second, as we talked about in this show, where you say, I'm going to say 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Then the client says, how much? And you say 2,000. They say, done. Right? And then you think back and you say, oh, I shouldn't have. I always do this and that, right? It's a bad thing, and we all went through that too many times. Uh, um, so also when you provide a service and everything goes well, and the client says, this was immense value. You should probably charge more for this. And I know. Thank
Thank you
you.
for reminding me.
Yes. Um, so you can really resent yourself moment. I mean, it's a compliment, but it's kind of a backhanded one, especially when you know you failed, right? On this. Then there's the frustration of having a client bolt because you're suspiciously cheap.
Yeah.
That happens. That happened to me a couple of times when I was just starting with the international sales thing, and I didn't have such a good grasp on the idea that if something is a lot of money in Croatia, it might not be that a lot of money somewhere else.
Yep.
Um, and I had clients say basically, no, thank you. And out of context, or some of them saying directly, I've never heard of anybody doing quality work at that price. So, and I need this to be, as we talked before, when it comes to expertise-based services, people need this to be it, right?
Yeah.
As one of my university professors said, you cannot try to calculate somebody's paycheck. You either do it and everything is perfect, or you didn't do it. That's it, right? There's no 70% there, right? Um, so that's immensely painful. Um, and then there's the aggravation of simply not having enough money for, I don't know, an important conference in London or something. You know that would be really good for you, but you can't afford it because you dropped the ball this time and this time and this time and this time. Right? Um, and finally, also something that we talked about in this show, which is the anchoring. Because you started a client at a very low rate for something or very low price at something, and now you want to just get a normal price, and they're like, why is this so much more expensive? It's basically the same job as before. Yes, it is, but so you anchor them low, so it takes an enormous amount of capital to just get anything worthwhile out of them, and it's your own doing, right? And we always on this Swan pricing show, we always want to make a comparison to the duck world, to the commoditized service space, right? And this time it's how easy it is to get out of this situation. So all of these scenarios can exist um, in the duck world, although the costs are going to be your guide. You're not going to underprice something because you know you're going to pay more for materials or for this and for that. Here, there's nothing like there's nothing making you do that. So it's easier to fall into that. But it's also too easier to step out of that. And that's by positioning, by narrowing down, by niching down. Um, I wanted to ask you for For an example from your own work about a niching down that worked and stop
Yeah,
this spiraling into underpricing.
yeah, that's a situation, something what is, I can say, even common in expertise-based business world overall, especially when we are talking about some maybe even agency work. And the problem is where people are making the wrong setup in terms of the approach initially, surely being determined by the scope and overall impact on the respectable business to whom they're actually providing their expertise service. And there is a plethora of connected and tied uh, wrongdoings or bad patterns which are directly impacting on overall profitability of the business. Because as you said, one relevant thing, and that is, and you mentioned that in the pre-show, it's about the buffer. Your There is no free lunch, so your business needs to be profitable, so it can be sustainable with you, even without you. If you have additional people inside the team as employees or contractors and additional resources where needed, and in the end, to be able to both invest in the business and being able to provide for the various conferences, etc., everything what is required for that a business to operate and navigate successfully into the future.
Um, and so positioning usually means finding um, a market which appreciates your outputs more than the general public, right? That's that's what it is. And in that sense, uh, everybody heard it a million times. Oh, you need to find a niche. You need to niche down. And people often say this is not possible for my work because I can work with people from any industry. It's not like I do this for marketing firms. I can do it for marketing firms. I can do it for people who sell cars. I can do it for accounting offices. It doesn't really matter, right? And firstly, it's niching down doesn't really just mean picking an industry. That's a oversimplification, and we have to talk about it in some other show. What I wanted to offer as a clear path out of all of these troubles of underpricing is positioning, but not in a theoretical way. So let's say you find some way of positioning yourself that doesn't have to be an industry. So in my case, I work with many industries in many countries, but there's a line that connects all of my clients, which is they are selling something that is hard to explain. And that can be in the medical field, that can be in IT, that can be in the arts, that can be a lawyer. Doesn't really matter. As long as they're selling something that is very hard to explain and appreciate by the client, I can work with them, right? So is that a niche? Yes, it's niche enough, let's say. But even then, I've seen people, write on their website, "Oh, we only do Chihuahuas," and somebody comes with a bull, and they say, "Oh yeah, sure. If you have the money to pay for it, of course we will take this extremely bad fit and apply what we know." So I think there's 5 relevant symptoms of somebody that's actually positioned. So not just says that they're positioned. Uh, so not de jure, but de facto. Actually, actually positioned. And don't get me wrong, those are the people that can actually benefit from being positioned.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's only on the written down on the paper, but nobody really acts upon it, right? So there's 5 symptoms, I would say. Firstly, people who are actually positioned don't say yes to every wallet with legs. You know, like I said, you want to sell the good fits. You can sell to bad fits, but not so if they will bend toward you, fine. If you have to bend toward them, no. Right? I know you so this one wants you to get his bull to get better, but you usually do chihuahuas. But yeah, can you also travel to me because the bull is huge and I don't want to drag it to your to your office. No, no, you might travel to take care of a chihuahua. You won't do it for a bull.
Yeah. And it's fair. There needs to be some kind of balance, at least if you're
Boundary.
already going outside the predetermined scope and focus, and that's okay.
Yes. So that's first thing. The second thing is um, people who are actually positioned don't fear losing clients when they raise their prices. So you have to do it in the proper way, and we talked about it,
Yeah.
how to do it. But when you do it, some might leave. Yes, good riddance. That's especially if the bad fits leave, and usually those are the ones that leave. That's not a bad thing, right? Um, and when you're not afraid of losing that, they usually feel that, and they wonder why, right? He knows that I could walk off and find somebody cheaper, and he's not worried about that. Maybe I should wonder why the other guy is cheaper. Maybe
Exactly.
that should worry me more, right? Okay. Third thing is no self-sacrifice for the client happiness.
And that's a big
So,
one.
yes. So I'm not saying ever or for any reason. However, I think we talked in the pre-show about what David C. Baker advises to have like 20 poker chips or something like that. And you have 20 poker chips a year. And each time you sacrifice you self-sacrifice for client happiness, you have to spend a chip. And once you spend them all, you have no more until the end of the year. Right? So that will make you think twice, is this really worth? Is this something that will be appreciated and something that will be rare? And if not, then I probably won't do it. Right? It's not just that you will limit yourself the amount of profitability that you forego like this. And it's okay to do some, but you have to limit yourself. But you will also think twice whether you will actually do it or not. And I think that's relevant. Number four, I know is your favorite is people who are actually positioned don't see their client as their boss, right? Tell me why that makes you take a little more than the others.
Yeah, I like that one probably because it's a part of my nature and character. I need to share the specific case I had. So there was one specific client in our portfolio with whom we were working for a bunch of years, and we were helping and supporting them from various marketing strategies, activities, the performance, etc., etc. And they were constantly and always struggling budget-wise and what needs to actually be poured into the marketing effort. So we had one strategic big meeting. Their members of the board, the owner of the company, our senior team, speaking about the strategy stuff overall. And when we get to specific stage about talking and resolving the budget issue, in one moment they were saying, we don't have that amount and budget for pouring into the marketing effort. And also, few or 3 minutes later, they wanted to hit the primetime TV commercial. I said, okay, primetime TV commercial with lack of budget simply doesn't fit in the same context. If you want to do this adequately in a meaningful way, there are the rules, what needs to be done. I am big on full transparency, honesty, and you always need to save your objectivity as the professional and the expert because you'll be appreciated accordingly if you're honestly speaking out loud what is both going on and what is relevant and necessary to be done from the professional perspective if you want to reach desired goals. Because often, as we spoke in some of our previous shows, is that clients, they have some of the idea, but they don't know the prerequisites, requirements, or the path to get there. And there is a reason for you in that scene, scenario, or the story. So you need to navigate that and have adequate amount of control and help them support them, not just saying yes to every freaking idea they come up with. Because one important thing, and definitely a result of yes and continuously yes approach, is okay, why the heck I have you on board if you're never coming to me with fresh ideas, some big transformation, big leap forward, etc., etc. It's not the question of if, only when that will happen. So it is in both your, as the expert, and your client's interest to save your objectivity, to be a trusted advisor, and yeah, say that sheeps are pretty much white, not green, as maybe they perceive them to be green.
Yeah. And also saying no.
Absolutely.
Also saying no, as we talked about. I think that's Jonathan Stark that says, if you never say no, what's the value of your yes?
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, and the last one, and people who are positioned can usually afford to build financial buffers. So you charge the client whatever is their due, and then you charge them something that will go toward building up a financial buffer, a pool of money where you can um, where you can afford to give the money back to the client if things are not working. Because if you're only independent and blah blah blah, but you really need that money, then you're not going to act independent, and they're not going to respect you as an independent, as somebody who is working with them, not for them, right? So you need to have a financial buffer so you can say, right, if we disagree so fundamentally on this, you asked me about my opinion, you paid me for that, you don't want to use that, that's not a problem. Let's stop this collaboration. I'll return the money. We go each separate ways. This is a moment that I've seen so many people dream about, but they can never afford it, and they can never afford it because they don't plan ahead. And positioning is one of the ways in which you can live to see that moment and to see that face on the client, but they say, wait, they didn't mean it like that. Okay, well, why are we fighting anyway? It's a wonderful thing to go through. So, no saying yes to every wallet with legs, no fear of losing clients when raising rates, no self-sacrifice for client happiness, no treating client as the boss because they're not, and no neglecting financial buffers. I think that's the recipe for today. Philip, where can people find you?
People can find me on LinkedIn and also on my mentorship page, philipzolota.com.
People can find me on fearless-pricing.com and LinkedIn as well. Thank you for today, and see you next time.
See you. Bye-bye.